Hey there, and welcome to Breakfast with Mark Daniels for Thursday, March 5th, 2020. Long Island weather after a beautiful day yesterday will do it again today, but not quite as warm. Today's high about 49, tomorrow's high 47, and by Saturday 41. Nighttime lows generally around 30 to 35, and there's a good chance of some showers on Friday. Recapping a little bit more from a couple of podcasts ago, the things and the way we say them on Long Island and in New York. Donna Lynn, she said, Happy Easter, which her Texas sister-in-law swears that she hears every time she visits for the holiday of Easter. Also the word schlep. I have to schlep all the way across town to get you? I don't think anybody else uses the word schlep aside from us here on Long Island and generally in New York. Thanks, Donna Lynn, for those comments on Facebook. And as far as the coronavirus panic buying shopping spree, Lizbeth said the coronavirus buying spree brings back memories of Y2K. Wow. And so it does. Remember that like it was yesterday, January 1st, 2000, 12:01 a.m. We were all still alive, and our coffee makers were still brewing coffee. And all was good with the world. We really worried a lot about that. We updated everything that we possibly could update to the latest and greatest digital software. We took out extra cash. We made sure we had our medicine on hand in case the pharmacy couldn't open. We bought extra groceries, non-perishable, and we all held our breaths. And when the lights stayed on January 1st, 2000, you could hear one giant sigh of relief. And hopefully it'll be that way with the coronavirus. Today is National Hospitalist Day. There are about 60,000 hospitalists, people who work in hospitals nationwide. And this is a day to salute you. And we're extremely thankful you're there for us. Today is also National Cheese Doodle Day, those delectable, addicting snacks that coat your fingers bright orange after eating a bag of those. And one of the best parts of eating cheese doodles is, well, I'll have to be a little graphic here, but licking your fingers after you've polished off a bag. It's almost like dessert. All right, I know. People like to do it, but don't like to talk about it. All right, little gross. So I'm sure you're aware that the New York Department of Motor Vehicles has gotten a lot of bad press lately. And that's partially due to the Green Light Law, which allowed illegal immigrants to obtain driver's licenses in New York. And obviously, suddenly, all at once, you had a large number of people headed to DMV to get now their new driver's license. And unfortunately, the DMV couldn't keep up. Those pictures on the front page of Newsday showing lines snaking around DMV offices in Medford, Port Jefferson. So the DMV hired extra staff, they opened a few satellite offices, and they extended some hours. It's not making headlines anymore, and I'm guessing that the situation is probably getting better than it was back in January. So why am I bringing this up again? Well, because I want to give the New York DMV some good press. No, I want to give the DMV some great press. As I might have mentioned in a previous Breakfast with Mark Daniels podcast, it was coming time for me to get my license renewed. It's been a while, and sure enough, it showed up in the mail. Anything and everything I can do online with the DMV, I do online. But this might be different. Because if you read some of the material that's enclosed with your license application, there's a big red box, and it says urgent. Your regular New York license will not allow you to fly starting October 2020. Get a real ID or enhanced driver license now. Okay. Now, you don't have to get one of those. You can still get the standard license, and you could do that online. However, if you're boarding an airplane after October 1st, 2020, you'll have to bring along your passport, even if you're flying domestically. So I thought, okay, I'll upgrade so I don't have to drag my passport if I'm going to fly to D.C. or Orlando. But if I get one of those upgraded licenses, it's time to make a date with the DMV. So I got all my stuff together. You have to bring quite a few documents to prove you are you. And I drove over to the Port Jefferson DMV. The first thing I do when I get to the DMV is kind of, scout out the parking lot. And I noticed, to my surprise, that the parking lot wasn't even nearly full. There were empty spaces. And looking at the front door of the DMV, there was nobody waiting outside. There was no line snaking around the building toward the nail salon. So I got out of my car thinking, all right, if there's too much of a wait, I'll come back, I don't know, at 6:55 right before they open someday, and I'll camp out until they do, and I'll be the first one online. But I went inside, and there was hardly anybody in front of me. I think there was one or two people. It went really quick. I took my seat, I got my number, and I waited patiently. And there was a nice woman, I think her name was Mary. She was making her way around the waiting room, asking anybody that's going to renew their license if she could check over their paperwork to make sure that they had everything in order. And Mary sat with me for a good 10 minutes going through all of my stuff. Then she signed off on my application saying that Mark Daniels is all good to go. And I think it helped expedite my application. I mean, you do sit and wait in the waiting room like everybody else, and you have a number, and your number is usually preceded by a letter. And there are all kinds of different letters. And you sit there and you think, wow, okay, I only got like 3 more people ahead of me in my letter category. and they call out letters and numbers randomly.
Number U173, window 7.
And you sit there rooting for your letter and number combination to come up, and then you get frustrated when they don't call your letter category and they're calling everybody else. I mean, you start thinking, oh, I'm so close. And finally, it was my turn. When I saw my letter and numbers come up, I jumped up out of my chair, found window number, I think it was 2, and the woman behind the counter could not have been more helpful and friendly. If they were asking people to vote for the DMV Employee of the Month, I definitely would have selected her, hands down. And I'd probably throw in a really good mention for Mary because she's the one who got me started. By the way, the total time from getting out of my car to getting back in my car when I was done, 1 hour. Your results, however, may vary. She told me don't come on a Thursday night. That's when it's really, really busy. I said, all right, I'll remember that next time I get my license renewed. The only downside to getting the new license was I had to get my picture retaken, and I don't think I've had my picture taken for my license in, I don't know, forever, like 20 years ago. So I look a little, I guess you'd say, more mature. So with all the negative press going on about the DMV, I'm here to say 5 stars. And finally today, an email from Cheryl. Cheryl says, I enjoy listening to your daily show. Love the topics that you cover. I'm a concerned adult and a speech pathologist working with young kids for many years. Cheryl thought that the topic that was brought up at deeprootsathome.com is important, and it's about kids. And the title of the article is Reasons Today's Kids Are Bored, Entitled, Impatient, with Few Real Friends. Technology is something that stood out in the article, that there's just too much and kids get too much screen time. And there's a little video on the site that I almost didn't play, but when I played it, I knew I had to share it with you here. Now, you're not going to get the video aspect of this, but you will hear the audio. And what they did was they had 3 generations answer the same question. And the question was, when you were a kid, what did you do for fun?
So we'd go blueberry picking, for instance. That's so cute. But it was true.
We grew watermelons, plantains.
I found an old sign which was big enough for me to sit on. It made a great toboggan. It was very slick and very fast.
I had a few fish in my basket, and I looked up on this bluff, and here's this black bear sitting there watching me. If he starts chasing me, I'm going to keep throwing the fish out of my basket until he's gorged and he won't bother me.
And what did you like to do for fun?
You know, you go door to door, get a group of kids, and you play lots of games, hide and seek, just going out to the field and playing baseball.
And we built these massive forts, you know, the kind that you can actually sit in and play in, you know, with our friends. And it was just really wonderful.
So what do you like to do for fun?
Video games, definitely.
I like to go on my phone,
text, some email.
My favorite thing to do in the world is definitely watching videos and playing video games. Those take up so much of my time.
3 hours or 3 to 4 hours a day. Same.
5 hours straight.
Just last week, I watched 23 episodes of a TV series in less than 4 days.
I forget. I'm in a house, I have parents, I have a sister, I have a dog, I just think I'm in the video game, I completely get lost. I would die if I don't have my tablet.
Whenever I feel upset, I'd play video games and I'd feel normal. It's really wonderful.
When your daughters grow up, your great-great-grandkids, what do you think will happen if this trend continues?
It's scary to think that they'll never have to leave the house.
Cindy grew up doing a lot of the things that I did and enjoyed, and I see what my grandsons are doing today, and it's mind-boggling.
By the time they have kids, it's going to be a really different environment.
I actually feel a little sad because I feel like he's missing out on what's out there in the beautiful world.
Well, that's a reality check, isn't it? You can read the whole article and see the video at deeprootsathome.com. And that'll do it for today's episode of Breakfast with Mark Daniels, and I thank you for listening. Breakfast with Mark Daniels is available on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, and I promised that I would spell it now because it's setting off devices everywhere. Also available on Alexa. Yeah. And of course, you can find us at buzzsprout.com or any site hosting podcasts. Just search Breakfast with Mark Daniels. Hope you have a great Thursday. We'll see you back here on Friday tomorrow for Breakfast with Mark Daniels.